Hi, I'll be with you in just one moment. Okay, just make sure I put that on the calendar. Okay. Should be good. Alright. How can I help you? Okay, yep. That's right. Can you just confirm your first and last name? Okay, that appears to be correct. Is your insurance up to date? Okay, perfect. If you ever need to update that, just make sure you bring it in. Okay. That's good. And you are here for the full ASMR sleep clinic? Okay, great, great. We'll get you all taken care of. And did you happen to fill out the pre-appointment form? That's okay. Most people miss it. Clearly an improvement we can make. But I'll just ask you all those questions here. Alright. So, first of all, can you walk me through what a typical night's sleep looks like for you? So when you usually go to bed, when you usually fall asleep, when you wake up, and if you often wake during the night. Okay. Okay. Great. And do you usually take any supplements, any sleepy time teas, that sort of a thing? Yeah, that counts. Okay. And can you run me through a list of your daytime medication as well? Yeah, that can sometimes interfere with your sleep. But that's okay. We will help as best we can. Okay. Great. And does your schedule differ on the weekend versus during the week? Okay. I should say during your work week or your regular schedule. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. And are you familiar with the ASMR experience? Or generally what ASMR is as a phenomenon? So ASMR stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. Kind of a weird term. Most people just call it ASMR, but it refers to certain sensations. It can often refer to as a type of content or a type of stimulus, but generally it refers to the tingly feeling you get in response to certain stimulus. So for example, for some people, visual triggers can cause a tingly feeling, or for some people, sensory or auditory sounds can cause an ASMR response, or for some people, whispering or speaking softly can elicit a response. So as you can see, I am speaking softly to you. We can also try whispering if you'd like. Yeah, okay. Well, I will stick with soft-spoken for this part, but I think we'll probably mix in some whispers and different stimulus to try out for you. And the goal of this exercise is to find what works for you. A lot of people use ASMR to help them relax and help them sleep. And so that is the goal today. But you might also find that you enjoy ASMR purely for relaxation, or a lot of people use it for background noise as well while they're working or studying, that sort of a thing. Yep, I use it for both. I use it for sleep and relaxation, and I also use it for background noise. Or although at this time of year, I'm often just binging Christmas movies. Yeah, the cheesier the better. So, those were my key questions. If anything else comes to mind, please share it with us. Now, let's move into the other room for the next part of the exercise, okay? Alright. Okay. So now we are going to get into the ASMR portion. So I'm going to put on some gloves. Okay, and first off, does this sound cause any sort of response for you? Okay, yes, I will be taking notes on my notepad to limit the light coming off of my computer. Okay, so and generally I will only take notes if you mention something specifically, or if I notice something, those types of things. But we will be adding nodes to your face a few places, so that we can get some of those brain movements, eye responses, things like that. All right. Okay, so I'm going to put this node right on you. Okay, how's that feel? Good, alright. And I will put this up here. Push it in a little bit more. Okay, and I'm going to put some a little lower. Okay, and again over here. Alright, and I'm going to brush a little bit of your hair back. Put some over here. Okay, alright, and let me just make sure my notes are connected and receiving a response. Okay. Alright, that looks good. So now to make sure we are getting the right responses, can you blink for me? Yep, just blink a few times. Can you yawn? Yep, make a loud yawn noise. Okay, can you swallow? Okay, can you smile? Alright, and can you, this is a little silly, but can you try to make a snoring sound? Yeah. If you fall asleep, we don't expect your snores to sound exactly like that, but it helps us have somewhat of a baseline. Okay, so now I'm just going to be silent for a few seconds. We just wanted to get with 0 stimuli. Okay, now I'm going to try the glove sounds again with the notes on. And I'm going to do a little bit of visual movements with the gloves on. All right, so now that we've done the glove portion, is there anything that stands out to you in that first portion? Okay. Okay. Yes. Anything is worth noting. The key things we are looking for is that tingly ASMR response, increased relaxation, and of course sleepiness. That would be ideal, but sometimes that can build as you're becoming more relaxed or have the tingles. Yes. Alright. And one thing to note is that typically a stimulus we also refer to as a trigger, so it might be called an ASMR trigger. So glove sounds is a common one, especially in medical situations. I know for some people doctor's visits can be stressful, but myself, I feel taken care of. And so there's just something relaxing to me about having that personal attention. That is another type of ASMR trigger, is personal attention. So if I'm doing things up close to you, maybe putting those notes on your face, that sort of thing, that can be called personal attention. Alright. Now let's move on. I did also want to measure your face. This is a personal attention trigger, but I also am measuring to see how far apart the notes are. And for several of these triggers, our doctor's office actually creates videos featuring these unique stimuli. So we actually have a couple videos specifically for measuring you, so you can watch those if you find this to be especially relaxing. And I do see right there. Okay. And down below. Alright, let me just write that down. The bottom one, yes. And I'll write a little closer to your ears. You can let me know if writing sounds elicit a response. Alright. So, on to more specific triggers. So, along the medical route, I'm going to do what we call light triggers. And I do have two separate types of light triggers that I will be testing on you. So one of them is with a pen light, and this typically is, well, in medical scenarios, used to check your pupillary reflex. So I'm also doing that here as well. But also can be used for follow the light. So you can follow this light. Or I might say something like, tell me when the light enters your vision. This is also done during eye exams or cranial nerve exams. And this is one that can be tingly, but it can also help with sleepiness. Alright, so look at my nose. I'm going to bring the light in. This is what I might do to check your pupillary reflex. Alright. Wonderful. So now, excuse me while I take off my gloves temporarily. It's a lot harder to take off than it is to put on. Alright. Okay. Alright, so my next trigger is again light based. Usually works better when there's a little less light in the room, but I will keep it on for the other triggers. Here we are. I like this one. So hopefully we can see it all right. Alright. So I have some gloves with lights on the fingertips. So I'm just going to, first of all, just move it close to your face. Okay, and doing a few more unique movements. Like that. Alright, now can you follow my finger, please? Now I have two fingers. Ignore the other fingers. And I want you to follow this finger. And tell me what the color is. Okay, and what's the color now? Alright, and how about now? Great. And once again, tell me when the light enters your vision. Okay. And I want you to try closing your eyes when my hand passes in front of you, okay? Yeah, blink and blink, blink and blink, 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 blink and blink. Right. Blink and blink. Alright, now I want you to close your eyes and tell me when the lights pass in front of your vision. Or rather, in front of your eyelids. Okay. Okay, and now we're going to do another medical eye exam-esque. It's kind of fun, isn't it? I want you to tell me how many fingers I'm holding up now. Okay. How about now? Okay. How about now? How about now? How about now? And how about now? Yes, wonderful. How did you like the light triggers? Great. I suppose I should turn them off. Yeah, that's a new one. I've only used it once before, so this one I am curious to hear your thoughts. Okay. It's interesting. Okay. Great. Well, that is the visual portion. Some of these other triggers will have visual aspects to it, but the focus will be on a different sensation. Okay? Alright. So, let's start with some sensory touch-based triggers. Okay, I am going to rub this brush on your face, and I'm just trying to help you relax using some nice soft triggers, okay? Alright, let's try that. Okay, how did that feel? Great. Okay, now I'm going to try it with more of a makeup brush, okay? And so it'll still be soft, but it'll be a little less coarse. Alright. Alright, how did that feel? Sometimes it can feel relaxing even without it actually touching your face. So let me just visually do it. Sometimes it's nice to have sounds that aren't quite right, like or or sometimes when you're doing makeup you can go pat 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 pat. I know, I watch a lot of ASMR, but it helps with the job. Okay. Alright, so we do have another sensory based trigger. So this is one that's more comforting. And this is Dobby. So it's a blankie. It's soft. It's also smooth. So I will hand this to you to hold, and you can just pet it and squeeze it. I know we normally associate things like this with children, but adults should find comfort in any way they can, and these sensory toys or stuffed animals can be comforting to people of all ages. So we like to go ahead and give it a try. So, Would you like to go ahead and hold Dobby? Alright. Alright. So we have a small portion for smells. So I will be spraying a little perfume. It's this nice jar that also makes some nice sounds. And it's really beautiful, so visually stunning. But I want you to focus on the smell, okay? And I do go a little lighter for these, because for some people smells can be a little overpowering. This is a generally more neutral smell, but it should have some relaxing notes. So hopefully that is helpful for you, and if it's not, we can stop this here. Okay, we're just going to spray a little bit. And how is that feeling? Would you like to try another smell? Okay, great. Let's do this one a little bit more then. Great. Alright, so I do have a candle. I must have misplaced my matches. That's alright, we're not supposed to actually light anything in here anyway. So this is a scented candle. It is Ariel from Bath & Body Works. So it's kind of like a floral sea feeling. Let's see what the notes are. Yeah, sea salt breeze, golden citrus, coral waters. So I think that's where the floral smell is coming in. And it says, create a world you want to be part of. Okay, can you smell that for me? How does that feel? Okay, that's alright. The scents are a little hit or miss. Sometimes smells are only relaxing when they're nostalgic. So I would recommend try to find some nostalgic smells. You can also use essential oils and things like that. Yes, it's good to try all sorts of things. Okay, great. So now I'm going to get into the sounds portion. So I will be trying a variety of sounds, and we'll see how you respond to those. Let me just really quick take some notes, okay? Alright. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. And I'll do the writing sounds up close again, since you seemed to enjoy that last time. Alright. So, with the auditory sounds, I'll start by focusing on some of the more common, and then I'll show kind of a quick sample of a few more niche to show you how niche it can get. So it can be very specific sounds. Yeah. First of all, the first trigger that I will do is some whispers, like we talked about before. Alright, Okay, let me just move. I have a stand with some of my items here. Just move it out of the way a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to whisper in your ear. And I'll try a few different types. So there are intelligible whispers where you can understand what I'm saying. There's unintelligible whispers where you can't. And I believe there are some other types as well. Alright. I'll start by doing some intelligible whispers. So I'm just going to whisper in your ear. I'm going to whisper up close and we're going to see if this is relaxing for you. And if it's not relaxing for you, that is okay. That is totally normal to have preferences. Okay. To move this one once again. So I can get up close to your other ear. So I want to make sure I whisper in both of your ears just in case there's sort of hearing difference. Alright, so I'm just going to whisper about my day. So today, I came into work and I had a few different clients that I worked with. They were all pretty nice. And they all had varying experiences with ASMR, which is always fun. I like to work with people who have experienced ASMR because they have their preferences, and sometimes I can teach them new things. But I also like to work with people who haven't experienced it and open up their minds to the possibility. What was that? Okay, now I'm going to try some unintelligible. Oh, inaudible, that's the other type. Let's just focus on some unintelligible. This one always puts me a little out of breath. And let's try some. And I want to try to cup my mouth a little bit, and see if it changes how you experience the whispers. Let's see if cupping my hands changes how you experience the whispers at all, Let's see. Alright. So, now I have to switch back to soft-spoken, of course. How did you feel about those whispers? Okay. Yep. That makes sense. Did you prefer any type of whispers over the other? Okay. Alright. And do you have any preference for soft-spoken versus the whispers? Okay. Like I said, everybody has their preferences. Some people prefer soft-spoken for specific scenarios, but generally prefer whispers otherwise, or vice versa. Yeah. Everybody's different, right? Alright, so now I'm going to try different sounds. The snipping Snipping is especially common in haircut videos, but also just in tingly videos in general. It's one of those classic triggers that is not a very good scissor, so let me try. Different scissors can make different sounds. And sometimes, even if you're not actually cutting your hair, it can kind of feel like it based on how close the scissors are to your ears. Don't worry, I'm not cutting your hair. Alright, and I've got several auditory triggers, so we'll do these ones a little bit quicker. So this is kind of similar to the brushing. Some more stiff sounds. And this is purely sound-based rather than a feeling. It does feel nice though. Alright, so another common sound is tapping. And tapping can be slow or fast. I also don't have any long nails, but there is also a lot of tapping that is nail based. So I'll try, but it doesn't work so well with the gloves. So you can do finger pad tapping or nails. There's also scratching. And even, if I can, opening, closing, maybe skip that, and sticky sounds. Which leads me to hand sounds. You may have noticed I've done the finger flutters here and there. We also have just rubbing your hands together or tapping the finger pads or tapping the palm. And again, the speeds can vary. Alright, so now let's move on to the lid sound. And wood tapping. And scratching. Alright, got a few more sounds to run through real quick. We have crinkly sounds. And again, I'll be focusing on some of these less common sounds a little less. We have squishy sounds. Tacky sounds. And there's also a lot of people that really like tape sounds. Sharing these more to show that there's a lot of niche sounds. Alright, so those were just a handful of niche sounds that fit kind of all across the board, but there are all sorts of ASMR triggers you can explore, yeah, there's something for everybody. I hope that you found some relaxation. I hope that you're able to sleep. And now, as we do have this space for you, you're welcome to rest here for as long as you need. And we will let you know if we notice any particular results. But we find that a lot of people come away from this with a very good idea of what does and does not work for them. Great. Well, it was a pleasure to get to know you and to help you relax. I hope we'll see you again. Alright. Bye.